Good evening and welcome to this session of Meno Mondays. And tonight I'm super excited to have my friend Suzanne. Suzanne and I met on one of our courses where we're doing some self-development and we're in the same space. So we started talking, we found out a lot of things in common. So I'm really, really excited to have her on this evening to tell us a bit about what she does and how she helps women like us who are going through menopause and who've had issues that are to do with hormonal things. So hi, Suzanne.
Hello, welcome.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome, Suzanne. So before we I'm just going to go on and say, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? And in short, what is it that you do?
Yep, so my name is Suzanne Lawson. I run a company called White Branches. In that company, I provide one-to-one yoga and I do reflexology, Reiki, and crystal treatments. And part of my journey recently, I had quite a traumatic surgery, had a oophorectomy, which is removal of the ovaries and the fallopian tubes, which unfortunately for me led to sepsis and then another bacterial infection, necrotizing fasciitis. And I went into radical menopause, where it's like obviously it's come on really, really quickly. And I am in the middle of developing a program called Wellness to Womb, which is designed to help women of all ages on a one-to-one basis, a coaching program that will run for 6 months, and we'll just work together and I will share with you all of the holistic knowledge that I have during that 6 months together. So
That-
that's me in a bit of a nutshell.
Well, that sounds very inspiring. I mean, to
Thank
have to
you.
go through all that and then want to give back to other women.
Yeah, that's the goal. I just obviously, as a yoga teacher myself, when I was going through this, I found it really, really difficult. I had to learn to walk again. Everything, obviously, around the core area, which was where the infection lay, was extremely painful. So I had to actually learn everything again from scratch, how to learn to do yoga, really right back to basics from being a beginner. And it kind of gave me that idea of, how do other people cope with this? It's all well and good, say, go and see a physio, go and do this, go and do that. But I think you need that one person. I needed just that one person to be able to say, can you help me? So that's where this is kind of derived from, really.
I can totally relate to that. As someone who's also had major surgery that involved my abdominal area, I found it really painful for a
Yeah,
long time to move,
yeah,
to do anything. So when somebody tells me that you needed to exercise, I was like, I can barely get through the day without suffering a lot of pain. You're just
yeah,
wanting
yeah,
me to stretch my body and
uh-huh.
and go and do.
Yeah,
So for years, I didn't do anything because I was just in my mind. I think I was so scared of triggering that pain again,
yeah,
or just feeling, that I'm going to be in pain, or if I start exercising. So knowing that I can come to someone who's been through it, who understands that I can't, by me not going, not trying some of the moves, really
yeah.
doesn't, it's because it's painful.
And that's what it was for me. It was
Mhm,
knowing what should I be doing or what can I try. And even as a yoga teacher, I didn't really know the answer to that.
mhm,
Everything was a bit fearful. I just always constantly felt a bit intimidated even by some of the moves, and obviously my ego kicked in and I used to cry a lot because I'd be like, oh God. But like what you were just saying there, when someone's saying, oh, just get up and exercise, like for me, I had to cultivate this whole new lifestyle where exercise for me and a win for me was just standing at the sink washing the dishes, and then that would be my exercise for the day.
mhm, mhm.
So it's kind of, that's a lot of what I teach and a lot of what I encourage as well, is to do something in the home but create it into an exercise regime,
Mhm.
because that's how you get your exercise. Yeah.
And I think just going on with what you've just said, I think sometimes we think exercise has got to be in the gym or in a class, or
Yeah.
it's got to be something formal, and we don't realize a lot of the activities that we do actually do involve some sort of exercise.
Yeah.
I think we need somebody like you who comes and tells us actually standing is exercise, some sort of exercise anyway.
Yeah.
It's something that's going to help to build your core, or at least I think that's what it does. Not
Like,
being
like just this morning, for example, I haven't done my morning yoga practice this morning simply because the bathroom needed cleaning, and we've all got time restraints, everyone's busy. And so now in my head, I don't feel guilty about missing that yoga class because I've just cleaned the whole bathroom. So that involved bending, stretching, reaching. And so you're still getting that exercise, you're still moving the joints, moving the muscles. So it's about re-educating people about what exercise is and what's good for your body and what you need.
So generally speaking, how does yoga help women who are going through menopause?
There's two kind of sides to it, I think. So let's say if you were a really energetic person before you've started to hit the menopause, you're obviously going to feel this transition, this, where everything's becoming a bit slower. Say if you were a gym buff and you did go to the gym a lot, and what I would say is start to slow down, start to really concentrate on your breath, on your breathing techniques. And that goes for both, really, even if you've never really been like a gym junkie. So what I would encourage is more restorative yoga, more yin type yoga, where you are getting into a position and just allowing gravity to do the work. So in yin, we might stay in a position for 3 to 5, sometimes 10 minutes. You might get into that position in the beginning and think, I am never going to stay here for this length of time. But in yin, what the teacher will do is they'll guide you through it. So they might talk about something else. They might talk about what's happening in your body. Can you send your breath to that area? And it's all about connecting with what we call the fascia tissue. So if you take like a piece of meat and you cut through that piece of meat, you'll see all the little white pieces of meat. That's fascia. So in us, our makeup, we've got all this fascia tissue. What happens as we get older, that fascia tissue starts to get hard and dense, and especially if we've led a sedentary life. So if we've been very, very stuck, and like with me, I was in bed for nearly 3 months. So then what you're doing is you're releasing all that tension, and that's sending signals around the body. It's sending signals to the brain to relax, to be calm. And it's just really, really good for the nervous system to just bring everything down, balance everything out. Yeah.
And for the person who has not done a lot of yoga before?
Yin is like the perfect yoga to do, or restorative yoga, anything like that, where it's not about the shape. So it's not about getting this perfect, this Instagram look where everyone's in this perfect body, in this perfect shape. It's not about that. It's about how do you feel when you're in that position. And that's what you're nurturing. That's what the teacher will guide you through and explain what you either should be feeling, or if you're not feeling that, ask yourself the question, what am I feeling? So am I feeling it in my hips, my back? And it's all about relaxing and letting go. We tend to think about relaxing as watching the telly or being on Facebook or watching YouTube, when actually if you do a yin class or a restorative class, it's about really connecting with your breath and just letting. I sometimes used to say to people in a class, say we're just all relaxing, and I would say, Can you let your cheeks relax? Can you let your forehead relax? Can you let the tongue and your mouth relax? And when you tell people that, they think, actually, I didn't even realize I was
Mm,
clenching that, or I was my tongue was rigid, or my forehead was rigid. And until you start saying all these things, like just like let your little finger just going through all these things, once you start doing that and you slowly introduce that into your life, it can be amazing for your body and your brain.
I can definitely vouch for that, because I know during lockdown, that's when I started doing yoga, because I just felt like I've been sitting all day.
Yep.
Whereas, when we moved from the office to home, when I was in the office, I'd go up and down, go to the computer room. I moved around a lot more when I was at work as
Yeah.
compared when we came into lockdown. So I realized I was so stiff from just sitting. So that's when I took up yoga. And what you were just saying there about being told to relax, I didn't even realize that I would be so tensed
Tense.
up.
Yeah, your
And then,
shoulders up here. Yeah,
you
yeah.
just needed to be told, relax your cheeks, and you think my cheeks are relaxed, and then you relax and you
And
think,
then you
oh
go,
no.
oh.
Yeah, definitely. That was something that I learned. I didn't realize just how much I went through the whole day quite stiff in my posture with a lot of the stuff that I was doing.
And especially like, we're driving, we might be we might not even you can do
Mm,
yoga in the car. You might not even realize you're in the
mhm,
car and you're like this with your shoulders, you're gripping the steering wheel, and then you're like getting angry at other motorists. If you just sit up straight, shoulders down, relax the hands on this, you don't need to be
mm,
gripping it.
mhm.
And it's amazing how different your journey will be, how much calmer it is, and how
We
quicker it goes.
we needed you, Suzanne, when lockdown reopened. Well, when they stopped lockdown, we were all trying to get to work, and we'd been relaxed from not doing anything. So can you tell me a little bit more about how breathing helps in general and how that ties in with yoga?
Yes, so actually, what I will always tell someone when they say to me, "Oh, I haven't done yoga, I'm not bendy enough," my response always is, "Can you breathe?" And they look at me as if I'm stupid.
Mhm,
But actually, yoga is actually all about breathing. So the fundamental
mhm,
point of yoga is to come into a state of relaxation where you can breathe and meditate. That's the whole point of yoga. So when we move with breath, we're then doing what's called functional yoga. One of my yoga teachers used to always say to me, if you aren't breathing when you are doing yoga, all you are doing is making shapes. It's a very
Because we
good
do tend
point.
to hold our breath, don't we, when we're doing certain things?
Yeah. And to connect your breath with your body as you're moving. So, one of the things that you want to be mindful of is we're trying to connect with our body. Yoga means union, and it's not a union with anything else. It's the union with yourself. So it's union between yourself, your body, your brain, your mind, everything that goes on in you.
Mhm,
And what we're trying to do when we do yoga is really connect that breath with what's going on internally. So we take our breath for granted. We don't, we're not, it's just what we do. We don't
mhm,
need to think about it. It just happens spontaneously. And it's quite amazing, really, that that happens. But if you start to really connect your breath with your movement and through counting, so inhale and exhale, you're starting to send energy around the body. And that energy in yoga we call as prana. That's what prana means,
mm.
energy. Now, what's beautiful about that is you could be lying on your back in Shavasana doing nothing, but you could be breathing intentionally. You could be breathing in for 5 and out for 5, and you will be absolutely exhausted and you're not even moving. All you're doing is sending that breath all through all the organs, the joints, the ligaments, the tissues. And it's quite uplifting, really,
Mhm.
once you start to connect that breath without even moving. And that's what I say to
Mhm.
people. If you want to try yoga, lie on your back, breathe in and out through your nose, and you are now doing yoga. And it's as simple as that. And then
Mhm.
you can bring the movements into it once you've got an understanding of your breath. And it's all about that. It's a beautiful feeling when you start to really think about moving your breath all the way up through your body. And, do we think about our liver every day? Do we think about our ribs? Do we think about all of the muscles in between the ribs? No, we don't.
Yeah. Well, that's what we don't. So I found out since I started doing yoga that there's certain movements, poses that I can do for if I've got some particular kind of pain. And
Yep.
so one of the things I suffer a lot from is from sciatica pain. And
Yeah.
I've noticed that the older I get, and I guess it's because I also sit for longer during the day, is there something like I can do to relieve that pain?
There's a few different options you can do.
Hmm.
Um, but one of the easiest things to do is just to lie on your back and then draw your knee into your chest. And when you've got your knee into your chest, it doesn't need to be far, just so that you can feel a slight sort of pull in your hip,
Hmm.
and then flex the foot up and back. And that will send the signals down from the back of the leg all the way down. And if you do that, sort of take the leg out a bit to the left, and then just keep drawing it in and flexing those toes really high up to the ceiling. But do it on both sides, no matter what side the sciatica is, still do that on both sides. And I've
Okay.
actually got a video on my YouTube video actually about, like, it's a really good um technique, a stretch that you can do on YouTube.
That would be fantastic if you can give us a link to that. I can
Yeah,
share it
sure.
with anyone who's interested in it. In fact, I'll just put it at the bottom of this
Yeah.
if anyone's interested. Also, I mean, I hear from a lot of women who are going through menopause that they found that they get bloated or constipated
Hmm.
quite a lot. Would yoga help with this? And if so, how?
Belly breathing is a good one to do. So you
Mhm.
can just lie on your back, plant the feet on the ground with your knees bent, and all you do is pop your hands on your belly, and you just do what I've just been explaining. So breathing in and breathing out. And what you do is, when you breathe in,
Mhm.
you want to feel the belly into the hands, and when you breathe out, you let that belly relax back. And that can be so lovely for the belly. And we do need to nurture the belly, because we all go on about, oh, I've got big bellies, but actually, if you look at some of these like Italian paintings of women in the Italian Renaissance period, all women had bellies because we're meant to have
Mhm.
a belly. It's supposed to be there. And
Mhm.
the other really nice posture, which I will recommend people do at any time of the day, if you're feeling like you've got stomach pains or just that bloatingness, is just come into child's pose. Wide-legged child's pose is
Mhm.
just amazing. Yeah.
So how can I make sure I stay safe if I'm going to do yoga at home?
So it's all about knowing your body and starting to get to understand what your body needs. Um, so obviously, if you've got knee pain, for example, and they're coming into a pose that involves you being on your knees, then grab some blankets to put underneath. If it still doesn't work, just sit that bit out, or come onto your back, hug your knees into your chest, for example. Once you start to cultivate a yoga practice and you do it more often, you'll start to get to know what areas of your body you're really struggling with, or like if you do have pain, then I would recommend that you go and see someone one to one. You can even do that on video. It doesn't need to be face to face. I had a lady recently who came to see me, and she has been doing yoga for 20 years. One of the things I'd said was, like, what would you like to do? And she's always wanted to do a squat, but she couldn't do it. And that's okay if you can't do something, but if you really want to do it, then how do we get around that? And she was saying, oh, it's my knees, da da da. Anyway, we put some adjustments in place. I showed her what to do, and she went straight into a squat. So it's about not necessarily giving up on something that you've always wanted to do, but finding the right way to do it. Yes, we're all similar, but we are all very different as well. You know, like the length of my legs means that I will never be able to do certain postures just because my arms are too short, so that it's just never going to happen. When I step forward from down dog into forward fold, I cannot jump forward like I see all these other yogis do, and I see it and I think, oh, I'd love to be able to do that. But actually, I can't because of my anatomy. It's never going to happen. So I just have to learn to go, okay, I'm just going to step forward. And to step forward, I have to change the way my hands are placed on the mat. And that's okay. That's good that you're adapting for your body. And it does take time.
That is so encouraging to know, because when I was started doing yoga, like you said, in that particular one as well, and I was like, I can't do this. And no matter how many times I think, how on earth do you move? And, you know, from this position to that, and they seem to do it obviously so fluidly, and I'm sure they've been doing it for years. And I'm like, okay, I think the more I do this, I'll be able to do it. But I just realized I'm probably the same as you.
Yeah.
I don't have very long arms. So I just had to get up and then go into the, I could just never move into it. But so that is so nice to hear that, because I was like, I can do this, but I can't do this. But I now realize, you know, with what we've just said, it's really been an eye opener. Really been an eye opener. So thank you for that piece of knowledge.
You're welcome.
So just before we end off, what do you enjoy most about what you do?
I think it's just sharing the knowledge, because when I was poorly and I was kind of going back to basics, at that point I didn't know what I knew, and I didn't know that people didn't know about certain things, you know, to tap into when you're feeling so low. And so this whole sort of situation about me being unwell has given me that time to actually go, hang on a minute. If you're feeling really down and you're feeling, you know, in pain, it's no good just to say to somebody, go for a walk, eat healthy, do yoga, do meditation. That's like so annoying.
Tell me about it. And what makes matters worse as well is that you almost feel like they don't believe you when you say you're in that pain. It's like for them, it's just like, just get up and just take one step, or just, you know, just go out for 30 minutes walk. And you're thinking, I can barely walk down the stairs.
And, you know, going back to what I said about yoga and starting yoga again, that's where I got that idea from, because like my partner would say, can you not just get on the mat and try a little bit? And I went, no, because I can't breathe. And because I couldn't breathe, because I was in so much pain, what I started to do was lie on my back in Shavasana and just try and relax. So not try and say, I am gonna lie here and relax. Just let's see, can I relax my toes? Can I relax my legs? And then if I felt like that was too much pain, then I would stop. And then I would come back to it the next day, and the next day, and the next day, until eventually I was starting to relax. I was starting to be able to breathe, to control my breathing. So that's what I want to share to people about, you know, who are in pain, who are struggling physically and mentally, because it's both parallels. Don't be so hard on yourself, and remember, we all live busy lives, and you can easily do exercise without feeling like you are, and make it fun. Hmm.
Well, do you know what? I'm so glad we have people like you. I'm so glad
Thank
we have
you.
people like you in this space, because we need it. We, some of us have gone through horrific things with our bodies, with, operations, and just even without the operation, some of us are just living in chronic pain. So
Yeah.
knowing that we can have someone like you we can turn to, who understands where we're going through, it's really a godsend, to be honest. So
Oh,
how can people find you if they are wanting
yes.
to connect
So
with you?
I am on Facebook. It's Suzanne Jane Lawson. I can't remember what my handle is on there. I'll just have a look at it actually now.
Mhm.
And then I've got a private women's group called Wellness to Womb.
And I would encourage
And
anyone to join it, because I'm a part of it and it's brilliant.
so we talk about everything in there. It's about anything that anyone's got any questions for, but I try and make it all very holistic. So sharing ideas, sharing topics. So this welcomes girls who've got period pains, really heavy bleeding. It's that whole thing, that whole transition from when you're a teenager all the way through to where I am at now in the menopause. That whole phase, it's not easy being a woman.
No, it isn't.
So
My
yeah.
daughter keeps saying, "Oh, next time if there's ever anything like someone comes, I want to be a man. Why do men get it so easy?" She keeps saying that every month. I hear that. Why do I have
Oh,
to? Then
bless her.
the funny thing is, she came to me the other day, and I was having a particularly bad day with one of my menopause symptoms, and she's like, "Mom, does this ever stop?" And I was like, "Well, I hope it does at some point." And she goes, "We cannot have to go through periods, then we have to have children if we can, and then we have to go through menopause. It's just too much."
Too much, too much. It's just, and this is why we need to really nurture our bodies and know how to nurture them, because
Mhm,
of that transition of what women's bodies are going through. It's so fascinating. But at the end of the day, even though, like I've said, physically, when we're doing yoga, we're all very different. Internally, we are as well. And what's so painful for someone isn't for someone else, and that's that message that we need to get out there, and we need to
mhm.
really help people who are in pain, because I lived with it for 30 years, that monthly pain, and it's not good.
No, it isn't.
No.
Definitely not. So you share
So
with me your contacts.
yes, so I'm on Facebook. My handle is Suze, Suzegl, and then I've got that private group, and I've got a website, whitebranches.co.uk, but you can put all the details in the below the
Yeah.
video.
Hmm.
And I'll be doing some kind of little short online courses soon as well, for anyone that wants to just tap into
Hmm.
something little holistically every now and again, and just be little bit of money for that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That
that's it.
sounds absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for joining me today.
You're
We've
very
learned so
welcome.
much from you today. I certainly have, and I'm not going to give myself pressure when I can't do certain things. Some of those poses, I'm just going to accept that sometimes my body can't do it, and sometimes I'm going to get there.
Yeah, and if it feels good, then you're doing it right.
Mhm. So thank you, Suzanne. And
Thank
yeah, and
you.
I'll see you all next Monday. I'm not sure what we're talking about next Monday, but I'll have a look through. But bye for now.
Bye.